what we call the movement, right? A civilizational renaissance movement or whatever you call it, that there are many gaps, and the fundamental gap is a gap of leadership, right? Not only failure, in fact, I would say that we are probably more ill-equipped to deal with success, and that is because uh, both the element of strategizing for a larger cause and the ability to hold on for longer duration returns is not there yet. And I'm making this very humbly, and it's not a judgment. I'm sure there are many organizations, many brilliant individuals doing great things, and nothing but the deepest respect. But there is something more to be unlocked if we are to convert this movement that we have into a more enduring epoch. If this is going to be an Indian epoch, I would say there are a few things that need to come together, and every single person, every single organization which is committed to this has to at some point reflect on this deeply and sincerely. That is the starting point, and that is the starting point for Brhat as well. So when I was in my previous organization doing which I had co-founded and what I had done, that was mostly to try and introduce an Indian knowledge system based intervention within academia. But it needed a certain kind of structure, it needed a certain kind of identity. Once I moved out, and since you did not have that purge, but you obviously want to do this work, this is the only work that I would do for the rest of my life, right? Then I asked myself, what is the next step? Right? So the big question that informs whatever we do at Brhat is, why does the Hindu cultural preference find it so difficult to find the acceptance in policy? Why don't we have policy currency for our cultural priorities? And that is, I think, a function of two things. Right? If we were to pare it down to its basics, it's a function of demand and supply. On one hand, in a very systematic and intentional way, we've been decoupled from our own thought mores. Right? We are not, we are having to reclaim simply because we have never been informed about who we are in the way that we understand ourselves civilizationally. Right? You call it education, you call it pop culture, you call it influence of modernity, whatever you call it, but there is a dissonance. Right? But we are also going through a time, like I said, when meaning making has been taken away from the collective and over indexed on the individual, and this is a psychological rewiring. So we are relentlessly told that the thing that you hold in the palm of your hand, this is beaming freedom 24 by 7, 365, right? And it has, because coming from the industry that I do, I understand the power of design, I understand the power of dopamine kicks, I know what goes in, the kind of technological and design sophistication that goes in to create an immersive experience and what it does to you, right? There is a cultural shift. So largely, there is not just in India, there is a bit of schizophrenia in all of us today. On one hand, we get to hear about products and experiences and services which are customized for us. They are talking to the aham in us, relentlessly stoking the raga and dvesha, if you were to use a yogic understanding. Already we are creatures of habit, we are creatures of compulsion, we are driven by our samskaras, we are driven by our tendencies. This has been put on steroids by the power of technology, right? And that also means that the work involved in honing a little bit of discernment, in honing a little bit of restraint, is that much more difficult, right? So on one hand, we experience these beautiful handcrafted, technologically sophisticated experiences that are for us, that are talking to the aham and raga and dvesha in us relentlessly. And then when you have interactions with people, in families, in society, in teams, with the state, they are also in the same zone. They have absolutely no reason to respect you because they are also psychologically captured by the relentless assault that they have to go through on the Raga Dvesha. So there is this, I feel there is this big chasm now where what we're doing individually does not actually result in any collective action. And we are so we are living fractured lives in the sense that we have highly refined personalized experiences digitally, and highly disturbing, therefore, because it has tuned our psychology in a certain way, highly disturbing public interactions. And this is also the reason why I think there is increased suffering, the loneliness that we experience, the kind of breakages that we're seeing in families. All of these are a function of what's happening to our psychology. Professors have called it colonization of the senses.